All right, welcome to another deep dive. We got a listener request to really break down Bitcoin, like for someone who's totally new to it.
Yeah, like starting from scratch.
Exactly. And luckily, this video, how cryptocurrency actually works, by Miss Mork, who's boss on YouTube, does a fantastic job of setting the stage.
Oh, that's a good one. I've seen that one.
Yeah. So we're using that as our jumping off point.
Perfect.
So the video, it starts off talking about, how do we even get to digital currency? And it takes us way back. First there's bartering, like trading your cow for chickens or whatever.
Right, right. Which, I mean, I guess it worked, but not very efficient.
No, definitely not efficient. What if you need a haircut, but the barber hates cows?
Exactly. That's where the video's point about no universal value really comes in, right?
Yeah, totally. So then, we move on to precious metals.
Yeah.
People started using gold and silver coins. I always think it's so cool that the British pound was literally a pound of silver.
Oh, that's right. I'd forgotten about that. It makes sense, though. A way to standardize value.
Yeah, but carrying around pounds of silver, not exactly practical. So then paper money comes along. Basically, it's just a promise, a piece of paper that says, this is worth something.
Backed by the government, supposedly, right? At least that's the idea.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so then fast forward to today. We shop online, tap our cards, do all sorts of transactions digitally. The video calls this digital transactions, right?
Yep. Stage 4 of money, according to the video. It's like our money is just numbers on a computer somewhere.
Which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Where is my money, really?
It's just entries in a giant global spreadsheet managed by banks.
Whoa, okay. So that's where cryptocurrency comes in, specifically Bitcoin.
Exactly. That's what the video is getting at.
So is Bitcoin like digital gold? Or is it more like a super high-tech credit card?
It's actually kind of neither. Like the video explains, Bitcoin is totally virtual, no physical coins or anything.
No physical representation. So then how does it exist? How do you even hold it?
Well, imagine like a digital ledger, right?
Okay.
It records every single Bitcoin transaction, and it's not controlled by one bank or person or anything.
So who's in control then?
It's spread out across a whole network of computers all around the world.
So instead of my bank approving a transaction, it's this network of computers.
Exactly. And that's what the video calls being decentralized.
Decentralized.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to need a little more on that one. What does that even mean in practice?
So basically, anyone can join this network, and the video calls them miners.
Okay, miners. I've heard that word before, but remind me.
So they basically use their computers to verify transactions and add them to this big ledger, which is called the blockchain.
So they're like record keepers for Bitcoin.
Yeah, kind of. And they get rewarded with Bitcoin for their work, which is like getting paid, I guess.
Okay, I see. But if anyone can be a miner, can they just mess with the records? Cheat the system?
That's a great question. And that's where the security of this whole blockchain thing comes in. It's like, imagine trying to hack into millions of computers at the same time to change the records. Not easy.
Definitely not. Sounds pretty impossible, actually.
Pretty much. And the video makes this point. With a bank, there's one central point you could try to hack, but with this, there's no single point of failure.
Huh. So it's way more secure.
Way more secure. Plus, anyone can see the records, so it's very transparent.
Right, way more than banks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I'm starting to get why people like this whole decentralized thing.
It's definitely a game changer.
But the video talked about Bitcoin as being more than just a secure way to, deal with money, right?
Oh, yeah, it goes way beyond that.
Okay,
Yeah.
So what else is there?
Well, let's see. There's this whole idea of, well, one of the huge things, especially for someone brand new to all this, is you don't need a bank to use Bitcoin.
Really? At all?
Nope. The video even talks about how this is a big deal for people who, maybe don't have access to traditional banking.
Oh, yeah. In some countries where the banking system isn't so reliable.
Or if you're traveling or, just want more control over your money, I guess.
Makes sense. So it's kind of like this global system anyone can use, huh?
Exactly. And it can be faster and cheaper, too, especially if you're sending money overseas.
Oh, right. Because with banks, international transfers, those fees are ridiculous.
Tell me about it. Bitcoin could really change the game for global trade and stuff too.
Yeah, I see that. Plus, no more waiting forever for the money to clear.
Yeah.
I can definitely see why people are into this.
And get this, no exchange rates either.
Wait, what? So you could travel without having to deal with all those currency conversions?
Yep. It's because Bitcoin isn't tied to any specific country or government.
Huh. Okay, this is blowing my mind a little bit. But if it's so great, why isn't everyone using it? I mean, the video did talk about some downsides, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. For someone new to Bitcoin, like the biggest thing is probably the volatility.
Oh, yeah, I've seen the news. Like, one day Bitcoin's price is skyrocketing, the next day it's plummeting.
Exactly, like a total roller coaster. And the video mentions how even news and social media, like remember when Elon Musk was tweeting about it?
Oh, yeah?
That kind of stuff can really affect the market.
So it's definitely not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Not at all. You got to do your research, understand the risks before you even think about investing.
Got it. So what about using Bitcoin in everyday life? Like, can I go buy groceries with it?
That's the thing. Acceptance is still pretty limited. Like you might find some online stores or even some like coffee shops or whatever that take it.
But not like widespread.
Right. It's kind of like, remember the early days of the internet
Oh, yeah?
when people were like, I'm never going to buy anything online. That's crazy.
Right.
It takes time for new tech to, become mainstream.
Yeah, that's true. Makes sense. Okay, so let's talk about this whole blockchain thing, because the video mentioned that, but it also said that Bitcoin and blockchain aren't the same thing.
Right. And that's where a lot of people get confused.
I'm one of those people. Like, what's the difference?
Think of blockchain as the tech behind it, like the system that keeps track of everything.
Okay, so it's like a digital record-keeping system.
Yeah, and it's super secure because it's not just stored in one place. It's like spread out across all these computers.
So it's like a million backup copies all being checked against each other constantly.
Yeah, kind of. Each block in the chain is like a set of transactions, and once it's added, it's basically impossible to change.
A block. So, like, is it an actual chain?
It's not a physical chain, but it's like each block is linked to the one before it with this thing called a hash.
A hash. What's that?
It's like think of it like a digital fingerprint, I guess, and it's unique to each block. So if someone tried to mess with one block, the hash would change, and everyone would know something was wrong.
Ah, that's pretty clever.
Yeah. So it's really hard to tamper with the blockchain.
So I'm guessing this blockchain tech, it's probably useful for more than just cryptocurrency.
Oh, absolutely. Like they're talking about using it for supply chains, voting, even like verifying people's identities online.
Wow. Okay, so we've talked about the good, the volatile, and now I guess the maybe not so good.
Right. The video did touch on some of the concerns people have.
Yeah, like what?
Well, one of the big ones is the environmental impact.
Oh, yeah, the whole energy consumption thing with mining.
Yeah, it does use a lot of power.
So is it bad for the environment?
It's complicated. Like the video talks about how, yeah, it uses a lot of electricity, but so does the traditional financial system,
Huh, I never thought about that.
Right. So it's not a simple issue. And then there's the whole thing about Bitcoin being used for like illegal stuff.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Like on the dark web and all that.
Right. But the video actually debunks that a bit. Like, yeah, it can be used for illegal things, but so can cash.
Right.
And most Bitcoin transactions are totally legit.
So it's not really anonymous then?
It's more like pseudonymous. Like your name isn't directly attached to a transaction, but there's still a record of it.
So you can't really hide.
Not completely.
Right.
Okay, are you ready for something a bit more fun?
Get me.
NFTs.
Oh, yeah. Those things everyone's paying millions for. Like, didn't Jack Dorsey sell his first tweet as an NFT? I still don't totally get it.
It's a wild concept. Basically, you're buying like the proof that you own something digital, like say a piece of digital art.
So even if there are copies out there, you have the original.
Yeah. It's like owning the original painting or something.
Okay, so NFTs are for digital stuff. What about Dogecoin? The video talked about how it started as a joke.
Dogecoin is crazy. It just shows you the power of online communities and hype.
So like even a meme can become a real investment.
Apparently, this crypto world is wild.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. And honestly, we're just scratching the surface here.
So where do we go from here? What's the main takeaway for someone totally new to Bitcoin?
I'd say the biggest thing is don't just jump in blindly. Like, learn about it first.
Yeah. Don't get caught up in the hype.
Exactly. Understand how it works, the good and the bad, and then decide if it's right for you.
Knowledge is power, right?
For sure. And remember, it's okay to ask questions. This crypto world is constantly changing. Even the experts are still learning new things all the time.
Yeah, like this whole conversation has made me realize how much I don't know. But that's kind of exciting too,
Absolutely. That's what's so cool about these deep dives. It's all about sparking curiosity.
So after this, what should our listener do? Like, where do they go from here?
Well, this video we talked about is a great starting point, and there's tons of other resources out there too.
Like what?
Well, you could research different types of cryptocurrencies, beyond just Bitcoin,
Right.
or look into how blockchain is being used for other stuff, not just finance.
So much to learn.
Yeah, it's like a whole new world opening up.
This whole conversation has really got me thinking, like, could Bitcoin really become the main form of money someday?
That's the big question, isn't it? The video didn't really give a clear answer on that.
It's pretty wild to think about, a world without banks and all that.
It would be a huge change, for sure. But if Bitcoin keeps growing and they figure out some of these challenges, who knows?
Maybe someday we'll all be telling stories about the days when we used to carry cash around.
It's crazy how fast things change.
It really is. To our listener out there, remember, this is just the beginning. Keep learning, keep exploring. Thanks for diving in with us. I feel like we just covered like a whole semester's worth of Bitcoin in an hour.
Right. And honestly, we've only just scratched the surface.
So much to learn. So for our listener, the person who's like completely new to all this, what would you say are the key takeaways here?
I think the biggest thing is be informed, Don't just blindly follow the hype.
Yeah, like everyone's talking about Bitcoin, but do they really understand it?
Right. Take the time to learn how it actually works, what the benefits are, the risks, all of it.
Like with any investment, right? Knowledge is power.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Nobody knows everything about crypto. It's all still so new and changing all the time.
Yeah, like I've learned so much in this conversation alone, but I still feel like I have a million more questions.
And that's great. The more you learn, the more you realize how much more there is to learn. That's kind of the fun of it.
So besides this video, what else can our listener do to, like, keep learning?
Well, there's tons of great resources out there. You can start by researching different cryptocurrencies, like beyond Bitcoin, there's Ethereum, Litecoin, a whole bunch.
Oh, right. The video mentioned a few of those, but we didn't really have time to go into all that.
Yeah, and you could also look into how blockchain is being used for other stuff. It's not just about money.
Right. Like all those things you mentioned earlier, supply chains, voting, even digital IDs.
Exactly. The possibilities are kind of endless at this point.
This whole deep dive has got me thinking, like, is this really the future? Could Bitcoin really become the main form of money someday?
I mean, it's definitely possible. The video didn't really make any predictions, but it's clear that Bitcoin has the potential to disrupt the whole financial system.
It's pretty mind-blowing to think about, a world without banks.
It would be a huge shift, for sure, but there are still challenges to overcome.
Yeah, like all that stuff we talked about with volatility and, it not being accepted everywhere yet.
Right. But if those things get figured out, who knows what could happen?
Maybe someday we'll be telling our grandkids stories about the days when we used to pay for things with, like, crumpled up pieces of paper.
Cash. What's cash?
Exactly.
It's amazing to think about how much things could change, even in our lifetimes. And for our listener who's just starting to explore Bitcoin, it's an exciting time to be getting involved.
Absolutely. This is just the beginning of the journey. Keep learning, keep exploring, and who knows? Maybe you'll be part of the next big crypto revolution. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.